Good morning, and thank you very much for coming to Toronto Police Headquarters. Today, I'd like to introduce to you Detective Natalie Haggerty from the Financial Crimes Section of Toronto Police, who will be kicking off Fraud Prevention Month. Detective?
Good morning. I'm Detective Natalie Haggerty from Financial Crimes. Welcome and thank you for attending the kickoff for Fraud Prevention Month. This year is our 11th anniversary of the awareness campaign and annual education. Our philosophy is recognize, report, and stop fraud. Every year, thousands of Canadians fall victim of fraud. Fraudsters are using more increasingly sophisticated methods to target their victims. Today, we have two special guests who are willing to tell their stories about being victimized by fraud, Catherine Adams and Albina Morales. During the month of March, the Toronto Police Service and its partners carry out activities and host events to inform Canadians about the impacts of fraud and how to protect themselves. This year, the Toronto Police Service Financial Crimes will be focusing on mass marketing scams, such as advance fees letter frauds and loans, antivirus scams, romance scams, grandparent scams, check overpayment, false charities, inheritance scams, lottery emails, phishing, prize pitch, and puppy scams. Joining us today is our Unit Commander, Staff Inspector Mary Lee Metcalfe, Detective Sergeant Ian Nichols, the Canadian Competition Bureau, who spearheads the Fraud Prevention Month, and also our social media working group, Financial Services Commission of Ontario, Insurance Bureau of Canada, and Bank of Canada. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our Unit Commander of Financial Crime, Staff Inspector Mary Lee Metcalfe. Mary Lee has served in a number of capacities in her 30 years service with Toronto Police, including uniform duties, 20 years plus of investigative, which includes units such as homicide, sex crimes, drugs, and professional standards. Mary Lee is dedicated to the prevention of financial crimes. Under her guidance, she highly believes in education and public awareness of financial crimes. January of 2014, Mary Lee was appointed by Chief William Blair as the Unit Commander of Financial Crimes, one of the service's oldest squads and critically important investigative units. Please welcome Staff Inspector Metcalfe.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to headquarters in the media gallery this morning on this very chilly morning, and many of our partners are present this morning as well. Today, it is with great enthusiasm that we officially kick off Fraud Prevention Month that's going to run through the month of March. We are joined by many representatives this morning from the Canadian Competition Bureau, Financial Services Commission of Ontario, the Insurance Bureau of Canada, and the Bank of Canada. We have coordinated some very exciting events for the month of March. Firstly, the Toronto Police Service, I'd like to draw your attention to some wonderful artwork around the room that has been created by some very talented students from Seneca College. I think you will agree that they are very stunning in their presentation and are very thoughtful in their message. It highlights all of this artwork, the sheer destructive nature of financial and fraud crime upon our victims. You just have to take a look at the artwork and the faces to see the distressfulness that this crime evokes on our victims. The students were very direct in their prevention message. Fraud, know it before it knows you. As you can see throughout the media room, the fraud crimes, they don't know any barriers. With respect to age, gender, social economic levels, intellect, or specific cultural groups. If there's one message that we can take to the public, we are all equally vulnerable to the fraudster that would convince each and every one of us that their request for money is a genuine one. However, the end result in all financial crimes is the great personal loss of our livelihoods. And when we look at some of the faces that the Seneca College students have captured, you can really see the emotion of this type of crime. This morning, we are very inspired by the courage of two of our complainants that have come forward to share their experience. Catherine Adams and the Yabat family will be speaking to you towards the end of our presentations this morning. As well, we're very excited this morning. We're going to be unveiling our inaugural prevention pamphlets, and they will be available to the media and also will be available online on the internet and the internet. We'd like to recognize specific fraud scams and how to protect yourself and how to report such activity. In recognition of these two information brochures that we'd like to acknowledge the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, Victim Services and Financial Services Commission of Ontario. In addition to our prevention pamphlet that will be available at our 17 divisions throughout the city, we also have a larger booklet. And in this larger booklet, we've captured the top 17 fraud schemes, everything from grandparent schemes to identity thefts, dating and romance scams, renovation and utility frauds, and the list continues. There is a very detailed description in this information booklet of each one of these schemes. Both of these booklets will be available to the members of the media this morning and will be available to the public through our 17 police divisions throughout the City of Toronto. We have advanced these information booklets so that our community can be very well informed on how to recognize these types of schemes, and as our college students have so eloquently portrayed in their message, fraud, know it before it knows you. In addition, one of the events that is occurring in the month of March is our Don't Be Fooled event. It is a joint initiative of our social media group and the Toronto District School Board. This event will be held at the Danforth Collegiate and Technical Institute on March 12th, 2015, and it is an initiative to create an awareness with our students who engage in social media to be smart about their online activities. We invite members of the media to join us for this event on March 12th at Danforth Collegiate. At this time, it is an honor for me to invite Lise Landry-Morrison from the Competition Bureau to say a few words to us.
Thank you, and good morning. My name is Lise Landry-Morrison, and I'm a Senior Competition Law Officer with the Competition Bureau. I'd like to begin by thanking the Toronto Police Service for inviting the Bureau to participate in this event to launch the 11th Annual Fraud Prevention Month. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre estimates that less than 5% of the total number of fraud victims report their experiences to law enforcement agencies. In 2012, the RCMP estimated that approximately 1 million Canadians fall victim to mass marketing fraud annually at a cost of $10 billion. And I'd wager that the majority of these people never thought this would happen to them. But fraudsters are using increasingly sophisticated methods to target victims of all walks of life, from the young to the old, women and men, from the poorest to the wealthiest, regardless of their race, religion, or even education. Fraud does not discriminate, and nobody is immune to it. It is this scary and sad truth that makes Fraud Prevention Month such an important event each and every year. The goal of Fraud Prevention Month is to raise awareness and prevent Canadians from falling victim to fraud by helping them recognize it, report it, and stop it. Over the past 11 years, law enforcement agencies, government organizations, private firms, and consumer and volunteer groups have come together every March to combine their efforts in the fight against fraud. This year, the Bureau's theme is Don't Buy Into Fraud. In 2015, this theme evokes thoughts of a wide variety of scams, from the traditional mail and telemarketing scams to the online and mobile threats. We'd like to remind Canadians to remain vigilant and protect themselves against fraud, regardless of the medium used. Consumers are increasingly turning to social media when seeking advice to guide their purchasing decisions. Unfortunately, some researchers estimate that 1/3 of all online consumer reviews are fake, in that they're made to look as if they were written by ordinary consumers, when in fact they've been made by or on behalf of the businesses offering the product or service. The truth is, many of these reviews are posted by people who have often never used the product or service they're recommending, and may be collecting a fee for posting positive feedback. Fake online reviews, or astroturfing, will therefore be the theme for our 3rd annual Too Good to Be True Day on March 10th. The Bureau will be hosting a Twitter chat around this theme and invites Canadians to join the conversation on Twitter to ask questions about scams and share their own personal experiences with online fraud. The Competition Bureau wants you to be an informed and confident consumer. That's what Fraud Prevention Month is all about. We encourage everyone to visit the Bureau's website for more information on fraud prevention and to read tips on how to avoid becoming a victim of fraud. And remember, preventing fraud is a shared responsibility. When you see it, report it. Thank you for your time.
At this time, I'd like to invite Nish from the Bank of Canada to say a few words.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure today to represent the Bank of Canada in support of Fraud Prevention Month and supporting Toronto Police Service with this fraud prevention event kickoff, and also in support of reaching out to Canadians on how to protect themselves from fraud in general. Today, I'll quickly talk a little bit about the Bank of Canada, Canadian banknotes, as well as the importance of education and awareness for consumers so that they can protect themselves from getting a counterfeit banknote and also protecting themselves from various types of fraud. As the Bank of Canada is Canada's solely responsible for issuing all of Canadian banknotes, it has a strong interest in a sound financial system and a strong economy. We recognize that fraud in its various forms can have a serious impact on the confidence in the marketplace. Significant increases in banknote counterfeiting in past years has led us to issuing new and more secure Canadian banknotes. For example, the Polymer series, which was issued between 2011 and 2013, is one of the most advanced notes in the world in terms of security and design, and was recognized as the best banknote series in 2013 by the International Association of Currency Affairs. The significant increase in counterfeiting past years also led us to partnering up with law enforcement, such as the Toronto Police Service, the RCMP, and it really just to leverage that partnership and to better reach out to Canadian citizens, and then so that they can protect themselves and understand the information that's available and know the actual security features on Canadian banknotes. With all our success with respect to decreasing the amount of counterfeits in circulation and the education and awareness that we promote throughout the country, fraud is a crime of opportunity. And if Canadians aren't aware of what to look for on the bills and aren't actually using the security features on Canadian banknotes every time they do a transaction, they're not protecting themselves from getting a counterfeit in their wallet. The Bank of Canada and our partners here today recognize that it is our role to provide you with the information and the tools needed to fight fraud on the front lines. Our goal is to provide consumers with clear information that's with easy-to-use tools and resources that are available. Regardless of the type of fraud, it's quick and easy to fight it once you know how to protect yourself from it. So with respect to banknotes, if you know the security features, that's how you protect yourself from getting a counterfeit banknote. We work hard to earn our money. Why not invest a few seconds to protect it? You can always get information from the Bank of Canada website on the security features of our banknotes. They're available in electronic and print form as well. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to invite Kathy from the Insurance Bureau of Canada to say a few words.
Good morning. I would like to thank Toronto Police Services for inviting us to speak here today. I'm Kathy Metzger, and I'm with Investigative Services at Insurance Bureau of Canada. Excuse me. My role is to educate and to inform people about insurance crime, something that we don't always want to talk about. Forums like this are necessary and helpful. Everyone in this room shares one common goal, and that is the prevention of fraud. Fighting fraud is not the responsibility of one individual, one organization, or even one industry. We all need to work together to prevent it. Fraud is something that we've been talking about at the Insurance Bureau for a long time. Auto insurance fraud is a huge, serious problem, and it's estimated to cost about $1.6 billion per year. It's a cost that's shared by you and me and by our friends and our relatives. Typically, when I talk about fraud, I'm talking about orchestrated insurance fraud. I'm talking about organized crime being involved in staged collisions and other aspects of the claims process. Identity theft is a component of that. From an insurance perspective, someone may take on the identity of someone else for the purposes of purchasing a vehicle, purchasing an insurance policy to be used at a later date for a fraud, or to lease a vehicle for export. We may not know that we've become a victim until it's too late. Then we have the cost and the time associated with getting our lives back to normal. As consumers, we need to do whatever we can to protect ourselves. And I have a few suggestions on how we may be able to do that. You don't leave personal information in your vehicle. Keep your ownership and your insurance card with you. If you are in a situation where you're involved in a claims process, be a part of that. Know what is being billed to your insurance company in your name. Review your claims history. Make sure that everything on that is accurate. Don't leave your wallet or your keys in your car. And don't program your home address into your GPS and save it as home. Never carry your social insurance card with you. At home, shred documents that have personal information, your name, your address, your banking information. Never give personal information out over the phone to someone who's called you to ask for it. Be aware of be aware of email scams. Don't open or respond to an email where you don't know the sender. Don't click on any links if you don't know the source or the sender. Be aware of time delays if you're expecting important documents. If you're expecting credit cards from your bank and they don't arrive in a reasonable period of time, follow up on it. Order a credit check for yourself. Review your credit history to make sure that it's accurate. And of course, if you're away for any length of time, make your home look lived in. Have someone pick up your mail, as there may be some important personal information in there. Taking these simple steps may deter thieves and fraudsters from identifying you as a target. At IBC, we make a point of talking about fraud, but we have so much more to say and so much more to show you. We encourage you to visit our social media platforms at Insurance Bureau on Twitter and YouTube, and we have Facebook and Instagram as well, and of course you can check out ibc.ca. If you suspect fraud, please call the police or Crime Stoppers, and if it's related to insurance fraud, please contact us at 1-877-IBC-TIPS. Thank you again for your time.
Our last speaker from our partnership group this morning will be Vasi from the Financial Services Commission of Ontario. Would you like to come forward? Thanks.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here in support of Fraud Prevention Month. My name is Vasi Papadopoulos. I'm the Senior Manager of Strategic Communications at the Financial Services Commission of Ontario. The Financial Services Commission is an agency of the Government of Ontario, and its mandate is to regulate all financial services in the province of Ontario. What we really aim to do is to protect the public interest and enhance public confidence in all of the regulated sectors that we oversee. These regulated sectors vary from the insurance sector, pension plans, loan and trust companies, credit unions and caisse populaires, to mortgage brokering sector, cooperative corporations in Ontario, and most recently, service providers who invoice auto insurers for statutory accident benefit claims. Our mandate is very clear, and when we look at the public interest and making sure that they have the confidence in those regulated sectors, that's what we do to support to also help protect against fraud. What I wanted to talk to you about today were some of the initiatives and some of the things that FSCO supports and oversees and has implemented over the last couple of years, and what we're doing in support of Fraud Prevention Month. What FSCO does is that we use news releases and warning notices time and time again to warn the public of potentially fraudulent activity in the regulated sectors. We also issue a lot of news releases and promote a lot of this information through our FSCO tweet handle at FSCO Tweets, where we notify the public of FSCO's enforcement activity against individuals and entities who we know they should know of a fraudulent manner. And we do that and work alongside a lot of great partners within the law enforcement groups, such as the Toronto Police Services. What we do in terms of, from a social media perspective, FSCO co-chairs a social media working group with the Toronto Police Services as a way to promote and provide awareness in terms of what consumers and the public can do when it comes to fraud. The working group has a cross-section of about 30 industry stakeholders. We meet on a quarterly basis, and we use our social media platforms to get those tips and information out. One of the effective things that we do with respect to fraud prevention is we provide protect yourself infographics and tips through our social media channel of Twitter. For this year, what we plan on doing to support fraud prevention initiatives will be primarily through social media. What we will be holding on March 5th is what we call a fraud chat. So #FraudChat is a weekly Twitter discussion that educates consumers and industry members on different types of fraud and how to stay safe. We ask that members of the public use the hashtag to offer tips and follow the conversation. This conversation happens every Thursday from 1 to 2 and is co-moderated by FSCO and the Toronto Police Services. In support of Fraud Prevention Month, March 5th, FSCO Toronto Police Services chat will really focus on the following topics: why and how people fall for scams, how to spot a scammer, what to do if you're a victim of fraud, and what's in your fraud prevention toolbox. We will also be joined by the Competition Bureau and the Financial Crimes Detective sections in support of this chat. Also, we will be hosting a #Don'tBeFooled event on March 12th in support of Fraud Prevention Month. It will be held from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Danforth Tech Institute, located at 800 Greenwood Avenue in Toronto. FSCO is partnering with the Toronto Police Financial Crimes Unit to target youth, specifically high school students who have a savvy online presence and to know how to protect themselves through that. The #Don'tBeFooled event will shine a light on scams that teenagers are highly susceptible to online. And at the event, through interactive plays and so forth, we will show teens how to spot scams and what to do with them. FSCO's website is also a great resource where we provide a lot of tips in terms of what your rights are as a consumer and how we regulate those sectors where you get a lot of those financial services. Late in 2012, FSCO also launched a fraud hotline. So we encourage people to use that hotline if they feel that they need to speak to us and to provide information regarding any sort of fraudulent activity when it comes to the sectors that we regulate. That tip line is 1-888-TIPS-NOW, and you can also use our website at fsco.gov.on.ca to get all of that information. Thank you very much.
Lastly, this morning, it is my great honor and privilege to put a face to this type of crime. And two of our complainants that are going to be speaking shortly have been very courageous to come forward and share their stories with the community and the members of the media. This morning, Catherine is going to be speaking first, and she will be followed by the Yabat family, who will share their experiences as victims of fraud. Catherine, would you please join us?
Hello. I was asked to come here to speak today about what had happened to me personally, and I ended up being a victim of embezzlement. I had a bookkeeper who ended up defrauding my business of money while I was coping with a parent who was seriously ill from Alzheimer's disease. She was eroding and her mental condition was not getting very good. So managing my books through someone else was the only way that I could cope with all the other things that I had to do. So what I was in the habit of doing, unfortunately, was trusting her and looking at the records that she was showing me. She had manipulated the books, and I wasn't aware that the books that she was showing me were manipulated. And unfortunately, people who commit crime are very well versed in telling a very good story. They're very slick. They're very good con artists. So anytime I had a question, she could explain it away or tell me that something else was happening. So how I ended up discovering the fraud, and the person who was convicted of it probably has no idea how I caught her. But I was looking for the name of a store that I'd been to in Montreal a number of months before and looked in my books for the name of the store on my Visa bill and started finding checks that the embezzler had made out to herself. And I was finding more of them, and I couldn't understand why there were so many checks made out to her until I started going through my entire record. And I ended up calling the police, telling them that I'd found all of these checks that were made out to my bookkeeper. It's an enormous stack of checks with a tiny stack for myself. And I just didn't even really know who to call. So I ended up reporting it to the fraud department of the local police station. And they took over from there. And it ended up being about an 8-month investigation. But the only reason it ended up being successfully, well, not the only reason, but a primary reason that it was successfully prosecuted was my next door neighbor, by pure coincidence, ended up being a forensic accountant. It's a Hollywood story. The odds of that happening are just astronomically low. But that my neighbor, bless his heart, did an amazing job of taking all of the evidence and presenting it to the police in a way that was very well organized. But I have to say, that is a massive stumbling block for any small business like mine that ends up being embezzled from, because they don't have the financial resources to pay for a forensic audit to explain what happened. And it becomes such a convoluted crime where there's so many papers missing, and you have to find signatures, and you have to find evidence while you're carrying on with your life. It's an extremely difficult thing to prosecute. So I can only thank the police department for the extraordinary job that they did of taking the evidence that I gave them and securing a successful conviction. But I have to say, for anyone who's got a small business that's been embezzled from, it's an extremely intimidating process and overwhelming process to try and get it successfully convicted. So I'm one of the really lucky ones, I have to say. The odds of having a next door neighbor who's a forensic accountant are just unbelievable. So I was very lucky in that sense. And yeah, it worked out very well. There was a successful conviction. There has been restitution paid. It really has been an extraordinary process. It's taken about 7 years. I don't know what else I can add to that. Thank you.
Catherine, thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that with us. And Catherine and the other family that are going to be speaking shortly, they will be available to the members of the media
Absolutely.
for questions at the conclusion of our press conference this morning.
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you for having
Thank you very
courage.
much.
Our next family is the Yabat family. Mrs. Yabat will be coming forth, and she will be with her daughter to tell her story and how they were victimized with respect to a fraud crime. Just take your time.
My name is Pei. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning to everybody.
My name is Pei Yabut, and this is my mom, Albina Morales. It's happened to my house that I lost. We lost everything, and I go second mortgage. We need the money to help to back home my niece, his grandson, about his sick. And then I meet to my friend the broker, Rumes Malcolm, to get the second mortgage. And then all my debt, everything into my mom, he said he's gonna pay. He gave only $30,000 because to send the money to back home, and then the rest, all my debt, they didn't pay it. All the time we went to his office, and then they said, "I didn't know you. Why you come here to my office?" I said, "Why you didn't pay all my debt?" Because the debt the people they calling me, they didn't pay everything about the card.
Malcolm, they convinced me to to have a second mortgage because they talk very sweet, and I convenience to have a second mortgage because my grandson, we have a hospital in the Philippines. So I convenience the way you talk. They promised me to, she's the one to pay all my debt. They give me 30,000 only, and then they said she's the one to pay all my debt in my visa, all my debt. So I convenience, I agree, and I signed the document they arranged here, and then after that, they cannot follow the promise we tell to me. So my house, I sell it because I want to clear my name. So everything, I lost my everything, my house. I have only $30 of $30,000 of that case, and the rest they pay only 3 months, and then after that they stop it. So I go to the police, and thanks to Mr. Kevin William, she is the one to help me to do everything. So thank you, Mr. Kevin, for your kindness.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. We really appreciate it. The Abat family, as well as our Catherine, will be available to members of the media. This concludes our press conference this morning, and thank you very much for everyone attending.
Thank you.